Have you ever felt truly seen? Not for what you provide, not for what you do, not for how you make others feel, but for who you actually are? The uncomfortable truth is that most of what we call love in our lives is actually a sophisticated form of utility. You're not loved, you're needed. And there's a profound difference. The hands that hold you may not be embracing you, they may be containing you. The eyes that watch you may not be admiring you, they may be appraising you. The society that shapes you doesn't want you free, it wants you functional. Today, we're peeling back the comfortable illusion most people live within, using the revolutionary insights of Carl Jung to expose the difference between authentic connection and psychological dependency. What you're about to hear might disturb you. It might make you question your most cherished relationships. But that discomfort is the birth pain of awakening, the necessary suffering that precedes genuine freedom. You think you're loved? Look closer. What they love is what you provide. What happens when you stop providing it? The philosophical theory. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who dared to venture beyond Freud's limited vision, discovered something profound about human relationships. Behind the social masks we wear, what Jung called the persona, lies a complex web of unconscious needs, projections, and archetypal patterns that dictate our connections with others. Jung proposed that the human psyche consists of multiple interconnected systems. The ego, our conscious mind and identity. The personal unconscious containing forgotten or repressed material from our individual lives. And most radically, the collective unconscious. A shared psychological substrate containing universal patterns and images he called archetypes. But perhaps Jung's most relevant insight for our discussion today is his concept of the shadow, those parts of ourselves we repress, deny, and hide from conscious awareness. Until you make the unconscious conscious, Jung wrote, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is where the distinction between being loved and being needed begins to crystallize. When someone loves you for fulfilling their unconscious needs, for matching the projection of their anima or animus, for playing out their parental archetypes, for compensating for their shadow qualities, they don't love you. They need you. True love, in Jungian terms, can only exist between individuals engaged in the process of individuation, the lifelong journey toward psychological wholeness and integration. Everyone else is simply using each other as psychological crutches, projecting their unconscious material onto one another in an elaborate dance of mutual exploitation. The mother who loves her child as an extension of herself doesn't love her child. She needs the child to fulfill her archetypal mother complex. The partner who loves you as long as you behave according to their expectations doesn't love you. They need you to play a role in their psychological drama. The friend who loves you when you're supporting them doesn't love you. They need what you provide. Jung understood that most human relationships operate as systems of projection and need fulfillment. He wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But transformation only occurs when both individuals are willing to confront their shadows, withdraw their projections, and engage consciously with the relationship. The uncomfortable reality is that most people never achieve this level of psychological development. Instead, they remain trapped in unconscious patterns, loving not the other person, but what that person represents or provides. This is what Jung meant when he discussed the phenomenon of psychic inflation, when we identify with an archetypal image or role rather than our authentic self. The inflated ego believes it loves, but it merely needs the other to maintain its inflated self-image. The parent needs the child to fulfill the parent archetype. The romantic partner needs their beloved to embody their anima or animus projection. The employer needs the employee to maintain the power dynamic. And society needs you to remain unconscious of these dynamics to keep the machinery running smoothly. Jung's concept of individuation. The process of becoming psychologically whole requires us to withdraw these projections, integrate our shadow aspects, and relate to others as they truly are, not as extensions of our unconscious needs. This is the prerequisite for authentic love. As Jung stated, "Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, there love is lacking." Need is about power, the power to extract value, validation, security, or identity from another. Love is about freedom, the freedom to be fully yourself while allowing the other the same privilege. Practical applications. Let's examine how this distinction between being loved and being needed manifests in everyday life. The examples may disturb you, but remember, awareness precedes liberation. Romantic relationships. Consider the conventional romantic relationship. Society presents it as the pinnacle of love, but observe closely. How quickly does "I love you" transform into "I need you to text me back immediately," or "I need you to behave in ways that don't trigger my insecurities"? When your partner loves you conditionally, when their affection depends on you fulfilling certain roles or meeting certain expectations, that's not love. It's need disguised as love. They need you to play a part in their psychological narrative. True love doesn't diminish when you change or grow. Need does. True love doesn't become possessive or controlling. Need does. True love doesn't keep score or demand reciprocity. Need does. Look at how many relationships dissolve when one person begins the process of individuation, when they start setting boundaries, questioning patterns, or developing parts of themselves outside the relationship. The other person often feels betrayed. "You've changed. You're not who I fell in love with." Translation: "You're no longer fulfilling my unconscious needs." The dark truth is that many relationships are mutual hostage situations dressed up as love stories. Two people holding each other's psychological well-being ransom, threatening withdrawal if the other doesn't comply with their unconscious expectations. Parent-child relationships. Perhaps nowhere is the distinction between love and need more evident than in parent-child relationships. The child absolutely needs the parent for survival, security, and development. But does the parent love the child or need the child? The narcissistic parent needs the child to be an extension of themselves, to fulfill their dreams, to reflect well on them, to provide meaning to their existence. The child becomes not a separate individual to be loved for who they are, but a vessel for the parent's unfulfilled ambitions and archetypal projections. Even well-intentioned parents often confuse love with need. "I just want what's best for you," they say, while unconsciously meaning, "I need you to make choices that don't trigger my anxieties or challenge my worldview." Jung understood that genuine parental love requires the parent to withdraw their projections from the child and allow them to individuate to become who they truly are, even if that person doesn't match the parent's unconscious expectations. The child who feels truly loved grows up secure in their authenticity. The child who feels merely needed grows up performing for approval, constantly seeking validation, and struggling with their genuine identity. Workplace dynamics. The modern workplace is perhaps the most honest about the need-based nature of relationships. "We value you as a member of our team" really means we need what you provide. The moment you stop providing value, the relationship terminates. Yet many corporations attempt to disguise this transaction as something deeper. Company cultures that call themselves families, team-building exercises designed to foster emotional attachment, motivational speakers encouraging you to find purpose in your work. These are sophisticated mechanisms to obscure the fundamental reality. You're needed, not loved. Jung would recognize this as a collective shadow projection corporations, creating personas that mask their true nature as need-based systems. The authentic organization would simply acknowledge, "This is a mutually beneficial exchange of value. We need what you provide, and you need what we provide." The problem occurs when you internalize the corporate persona and begin to believe that your workplace actually loves you. This category error leads to disappointment, burnout, and existential crisis when the reality of the need-based relationship inevitably reveals itself. Social media platforms have weaponized the confusion between love and need. They've created algorithms specifically designed to make you feel alternately loved and rejected, generating the precise emotional cocktail that keeps you engaged. The likes, shares, and comments create an illusion of being loved, when in reality, you're merely being needed to generate content, needed to provide data, needed to view advertisements. The platform doesn't love you. Your followers don't love you. They need what you provide: entertainment, validation, distraction, information. Jung would recognize social media as a massive projection screen for the collective unconscious, a place where archetypes run wild and shadow material is both expressed and repressed in equal measure. The persona you create online is precisely what Jung warned against: a false self designed to win approval while hiding your authentic nature. The dopamine hit from social validation keeps you coming back, mistaking being needed for being loved. Meanwhile, your true self, what Jung would call the self with a capital S, remains undernourished and unexpressed. Consumerism and marketing. This product will make you complete. This service will solve your problems. Marketing narratives capitalize on the confusion between love and need. They position products and services not as things you might need for practical purposes, but as sources of the love, acceptance, and completion you unconsciously crave. Jung would identify this as the exploitation of archetypal desires, the yearning for wholeness, for meaning, for transcendence. Advertisements promise to fulfill these deep psychological needs, creating the illusion that a product or brand can provide what only internal psychological integration can deliver. The consumer is led to believe they're loved by the brand, when in reality, they're merely needed for their purchasing power. The corporation needs you to buy. You need to feel loved. This dysfunctional exchange perpetuates the cycle of consumption and disappointment. We represent your interests. We share your values. We fight for people like you. Political movements and religious institutions often position themselves as loving forces in your life, when in reality, they need you. Need your vote, need your donations, need your participation, need your evangelism. Jung understood that political and religious systems often function as containers for collective shadow material and archetypal projections. The charismatic leader becomes a vessel for the projection of the self archetype. The political enemy embodies the collective shadow. The religious doctrine provides a framework for unconscious psychological material. These systems need you to maintain their existence and power. When they say they love you or care about you, they're expressing a need disguised as love. True love would set you free to find your own path, to question, to doubt, to explore alternatives. Need-based systems require your unwavering loyalty and unquestioning compliance. Recognizing the difference. How then do we distinguish between being loved and being needed? Jung provides several key indicators. 1. Conditional versus unconditional. Need is always conditional. It depends on you fulfilling certain requirements. Love persists regardless of what you provide. 2. Control versus freedom. Need seeks to control you to ensure continued provision. Love grants you the freedom to be authentically yourself. 3. Projection versus recognition. Need projects unconscious material onto you, seeing not who you are, but what the other person's psyche requires. Love sees you clearly. Separate from projections. 4. Stagnation versus growth. Need requires you to remain static, continuing to fulfill the same function. Love encourages your evolution and individuation, even when it challenges the relationship. 5. Fear versus trust. Need operates from fear. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of inadequacy. Love operates from trust in the self, trust in the other, trust in the process of life. As Jung wrote, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases." True love honors this uniqueness. Need attempts to force conformity. We've ventured into uncomfortable territory today, examining relationships usually cloaked in sentimentality and cultural mythology through the unflinching lens of Jungian psychology. The distinction between being loved and being needed may seem harsh, even cynical, but Jung himself was not a cynic. He was a realist with profound hope for human potential. Jung believed that by making the unconscious conscious, by recognizing our projections, integrating our shadow, and pursuing individuation, we could eventually form relationships based on authentic love rather than neurotic need. This requires courage. The courage to ask yourself, in my relationships, am I truly loved, or am I merely needed? Do I truly love others, or do I merely need them? The path forward is not to reject all relationships as mere need fulfillment, but to transform them through consciousness. As Jung stated, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Here is your call to action, your invitation to psychological revolution. 1. Withdraw your projections. Recognize when you're seeing others not as they are, but as what your unconscious needs them to be. 2. Confront your shadow. The parts of yourself you deny or repress are precisely what you project onto others in the disguise of love. 3. Question your attachments. Ask yourself honestly, if this person changed in ways that no longer served my needs, would my love remain? 4. Seek individuation before union. You cannot truly love another until you've begun the journey toward loving yourself in the Jungian sense, integrating all aspects of your psyche into a coherent whole. 5. Accept the painful truth. Most of what you've called love throughout your life has been need. This realization, though devastating, is the first step toward authentic connection. The difference between being loved and being needed is the difference between freedom and captivity, between consciousness and unconscious repetition, between authenticity and performance. Jung wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." It's time to awaken. It's time to distinguish between those who love you and those who need you. It's time to become someone capable of loving others, rather than merely needing them. The journey won't be easy. You'll lose relationships based on mutual need. You'll face the terror of standing alone, psychologically complete rather than neurotically entangled. You'll confront the vast unknown territory of your own unconscious. But on the other side lies the possibility Jung dedicated his life to illuminating the possibility of genuine love, authentic connection, and psychological freedom. The choice is yours. Continue sleepwalking through need-based relationships, calling them love. Or awaken to the uncomfortable reality and begin the hero's journey toward authentic love. As Jung reminded us, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Are you willing to endure that pain? Are you ready to discover the difference between being needed and being loved? The answer to that question will determine the course of your life from this moment forward. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.